You start building a coaching company, it is not easy. The biggest bottleneck in a company is the leader. If you're dealing with an organization where you have a leader and you got a team, the secret is
You now work for the Elliot Group. That is legitimately one of the largest sales organizations on the globe.
the person that you see here. I wasn't always this guy. I used to weigh 145 pounds. I was in a very, very dark place. I had visions, like I would have dreams of seeing the mountains in Arizona. And we drove all across the country with no plan, with $5,000 to our name. Sometimes God will use a man in your life to help you build that connection, that relationship with him.
I'd love to explore a little bit of the transformation.
I made a decision one day. Tomorrow when I walk in, I'm gonna walk in like I own the place. From that moment on, I woke up. And then what's crazy is the following month, I was the employee of the month.
You're a leader in the company. How do you lead your team?
I teach for my team is.
Welcome to the Freedom Formula, Tommy. Pleasure to
How's
have
it
you on,
going?
mate.
Yeah,
Good, dude.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good, dude. You know, it's such a pleasure to have what is what I know is going to be an absolute firecracker of a podcast, and that the listeners are going to get so much out of this. You know, and I suppose for us to dive straight in, you know, you and I were just talking off camera a little bit and catching up, and obviously this is the first time we met. We got introduced, just to give the listeners some context, from a mutual friend that's an extreme ultra high performer. And so they say usually the birds of a feather flock together. So I'm really excited. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm really excited to get to know a little bit about, you know, not just your journey, but then, you know, to have you share what I believe will be some pearls of wisdom and also some energy, right? So just introduce yourself briefly. I mean, you're 34, but you were raised in Miami, and you're now, I suppose you're going to give us a lot more context, but you now work for the Elliot Group, Andy Elliot, and that is legitimately one of the largest sales organizations on the globe. Would that be right?
That is correct. We are a transformation coaching company that's leadership focused, but we teach a lot of sales training. And but in a nutshell, we are a leadership center company. We focus on customer experience. We help people scale their businesses, build sales organization, lethal sales teams, culture. And we figured out a lot of things that we did wrong. We've invested a lot of money. We all invest a lot of money in ourselves. Us as leaders, we go out and go to events. We're learning from different coaches as well. Same as the Elliots, they're spending about $2 million a year developing themselves, which really allowed us to grow very, very quickly. In a matter of just in 2 years, we became a 7-figure a month coaching business. So the company grew very, very fast, and we're just looking to dominate. What I do in the company is I'm a division leader for the company, also a top performer. And yeah, I love what I do. I love changing lives and helping coach other individuals and companies.
You don't land a role like that unless you yourself represent, I suppose, the core values of an organization like that, right? But most of us don't start with those kinds of attributes. We start from somewhere else. So tell me about you and a little bit about your journey. And I'd love to explore a little bit of the transformation.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you're going to take me back on a journey here, because it has been a journey. You know, the person that you see here, I wasn't always this guy, right? I wasn't clean, polished. I used to weigh 145 pounds. Like I was in a very, very dark place. But just so you can kind of understand a little bit more of the background story, I wasn't born in this country. I was what you considered an illegal immigrant for a very big portion of my life. 20 years of my life, I was an illegal immigrant living here. Even though I came here when I was 2 years old from Venezuela, I felt like I was an American. I didn't know anything about Venezuela. I just had family there, but I came here on a visa when I was 2 years old from a plane. My family stayed. My visa expired, which then made me an undocumented immigrant within for 20 years of my life. I was always very competitive, really good at school, got good grades. I had 2 scholarships graduating high school, and then I couldn't take them because I didn't have a social, I didn't have a driver's license, which then led me to a lot of trouble. You know, they say that the devil's in idle time.
Yeah.
And I was idling for at least 3 years. And during that period of time, I had a really bad breakup with a girl, and I was trying drugs. I had tried prescription drugs, and within that bad breakup, I was just doing a lot of prescription drugs, a lot of painkillers, and started doing stronger methods of opiates, painkillers, which led from that to Oxycontin, higher milligrams, and then it became too expensive, which then led to heroin, then led up to shooting up heroin, to then shooting up fentanyl. And that's when I started having
Wow.
overdoses. And I've had about
Wow.
5 drug overdoses during my time of using. And yeah, since I was 17 years old, my drug craze went all the way, active addiction, till I was 31. So it was
Wow.
16 years of abusing drugs. And then during that period of time, I mean, I hated it. I was withdrawing every single day. I was always uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable in my own skin for about 16 years. So I didn't know what it was like to feel normal. I didn't know what it was like to get goosebumps, to get chills, to want to cry. Because since I was always high, because if I didn't, I was going to be withdrawing. And I did have a lot of moments I was withdrawing. Sometimes I didn't have the money and I'll have to do whatever it took for me to use, which was lie, steal, whatever I had to do to use. Because if not, I was going to be sick and I didn't want to be sick. And there was a big pivotal moment where like I honestly sold myself the idea that I was going to die by the age of 30. I didn't think I was
Wow.
going to live. And I was like, okay with it. Right. At least like that was my mindset then. Like I was just so lost that all I had to do was ask for help. And I didn't ask for help. And I thought asking for help was weakness, which actually that was one of the biggest strengths. So if anyone's listening to this right now, they dealt with an addiction in the past, or if they have someone in your family, and if you see signs, I would be like, hey man, listen, it's okay to ask for help. I know you're going through something really tough right now and something really hard. And I just want to give you the space where you're not going to be judged and you can talk to me. And I feel like if someone would approach me, which my family saw the signs, but they didn't push help on me. They didn't ask me for help originally. And I feel like if someone would have done that, I was so stubborn and I was just so lost in my addiction that I probably could have gotten clean a lot quicker and maybe saved myself the trouble. But God blessed me with a woman that I'm married with right now. And for the first 3 years of our relationship, she had no idea I used drugs. I was hiding everything from her. I wasn't really using the needle as much, right? Um, that's what really led to a lot of overdoses. And I'm like, I didn't want to die once I met this girl. I'm like, man, I need to be good because I can't die on her. And this is my mindset then. And when we were dating in our relationship, I wanted to become more like she was giving me a new level of purpose where I wanted to go to the gym, start working out, doing all these different things. I had 2020 hits and I was working for a company for in the travel industry for cruise lines. Well, during 2020, COVID hit, no one could travel, right? It's a travel industry for the cruises. All the cruises were like stuck and no one
It all
could do
shut down.
anything.
Yeah.
Yep. So I ended up leaving that job that year and I was using like crazy. And I started a job at a car dealership. And when I was there, my very first month, I made $600. And I'm like, oh my
Wow.
gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Sierra, my wife was like, what are we going to do? Our bills are like over 4 grand. You just made $600. Like we can't survive this way. So I went online, like, how can I get better selling cars? And then a YouTube video popped up and it was Andy Elliot.
Andy Elliot. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
And that was the moment that was sent by God because that was the moment that my life changed forever. Because I
Isn't that
called,
interesting?
bought a ticket to an event, bought a program. By the very next month, I made $17,500 with the things I learned from them. And I'm like, this is it.
Wow.
This is what I have to do. I just need to start developing myself. Like personal development was truly going to save me and help me become the man that I need to become. And he just like, it was that one thing. He was just like, man, listen, you can become whatever it is you want to become. And he said this on the video. I'm like, I want to become anything. It's like, you're not your mistakes. Like, you're not your past. Like, you can do this. You can change and become whatever it is you want to
Mhm.
become. And that caused me to reach out to him. He just shared his mindset, his heart. And I'm like, I want that. And I want to follow this guy because this guy, just from that video, is making me change my perspective and making me really focus on a new identity, someone else that I wanted to
Mm.
become. And 2021 hits. I've been training with them, still using. But 2021, I ended up using the needle again when I hadn't been using it. And I ended up overdosing on the bathroom floor. And I was at a lunch break. This is my fifth overdose at the time. I was at a lunch break and my wife starts knocking on the door. She's trying to break down the door down because I was unresponsive, and she found me like a pretzel in between the bathtub and the toilet, like bent over.
Yeah.
And I still had the needle in my arm. I couldn't even finish it. And I went out and she picked me up, pulled the needle out of my arm, started giving me CPR and brought me back to life.
Wow.
And that was the moment she found out that my addiction was very real.
That would have been a very difficult moment when you sobered up, when you came out of that, to deal with, I guess the shame, the guilt, and the reality of your situation and what you were facing. But it would have been extremely hard for her to see the man she loves in that way, suffering and hurting. So I guess then you go through a journey. I imagine you repaired not only your yourself, and you must start going through rehab, but then you start to repair, I guess, aspects of trust in your relationship too, because I would imagine that would have been damaged a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's crazy was that year I had already went to rehab, came out, and then this relapse. Well, I ended up relapsing like 2 months when I got out of rehab because I went
Mm.
during March, relapsed again during May, and then I was using all the way through. And that overdose happened in October of 2021. And during that time, Andy had offered me a job to come work for him. So he knew who Sierra was. He knew who I was. He was doing like his vetting work to see whether or not who I was, what am I doing. And he had given me a date for me to move out here to come work for him. But then when that overdose happened, I just stopped talking to him.
You
I
went.
felt so much shame and guilt. I'm like, I can't work for this guy. Like I can't
Mm.
even fix myself. So
Isn't that interesting? I think what's interesting in that, I mean, look, I just love the raw honesty too, and the I suppose just how real you are to share your journey, because it's, that would be very difficult even today, you talking about that, right? Most people would feel ongoing shame with that, but actually it's your superpower, it's your strength, right? But isn't it interesting how you felt in that moment that the only thing to do was retreat from someone that fundamentally was operating at a different frequency to you, and possibly exhibiting different values, therefore you felt almost a like a repelling energy, which meant like you, instead of drawing in, which is what we should do, we should draw into people that are going to help us, elevate us, inspire us, right? Help us realign, recalibrate. You did the opposite, which was to retreat just through that shame, right? And so, how long did that take? I mean, how long did that take then to get
so
back into alignment?
it took a while. The thing is, I when I relapsed, I was still using. When I overdosed that night, my wife had to go. She was, I mean, distraught, crying, like, I
Mm,
can't believe this. Like, oh my God, you almost died. I mean, she was like really in shock, right? And she had to go to an engagement later that night. She had to put on a face and smile as if nothing happened, which
mm,
honestly, my wife is very, very strong. She has crazy strength in there that she had to just flip it off because she couldn't miss this. It was very important because she had a business at the time, and all these people were showing up just for her. So she couldn't not go,
not be
right?
there. Yeah,
And then when she left, I ended up using as soon as she left. My mind was just
yeah.
gone. Like I had almost
Mm,
died, and it's like it wasn't even affecting me, which is crazy.
mm,
But that went on. I was still using. Then me and her were about to split up. She moved out of the house. I moved to my sister's. I was in my little sister's. Um, and when I say little, my sister at the time, I think she was like 24 years old. So she had my niece Ava, and she kept Ava at the time. She was 4 years old, so she was asleep with my sister in her bedroom, and I slept on a little twin size bed. I don't think I've ever told this story. It's the first time I'm sharing this. A twin size little bed with like a little princess cover up. And I remember sitting there, I'm like, what the heck? I can't believe I'm losing my girl, Sierra. I'm broke. I'm still using drugs. I'm still addicted. And now I'm here. And I was living in a nice house and everything, and I was just losing everything. And it was
mm.
just a crazy mindset to be in at that point. I'm like, how the heck am I going to get out of here? So I stayed there for the next, since November, December, January, February. So November, December, January, February. So for 4 months, I lived there. And then I decided in March, I'm sorry, I did live there until March. And the March, we're like, you know what? I'm going to leave. I can't be
Mm-hmm.
here. I can't get clean.
Mm-hmm.
I want to fix things with Sierra. So I told Sierra, give me a chance. We were still talking to each other. We didn't like fully split up. Like we're still with each other, but we're just giving each other space. We just separated from each other. We weren't
Yeah.
living with each other, and we weren't really seeing each other like that. And then we decided to leave March of 2022.
Mm.
And we packed all of our things in a 5x8 trailer, towing 1,500 pounds. And I had a Corolla at the time, and I was towing it off of my Corolla and drove across the country to Arizona. And it took me 55 hours. I had 2 cats, a dog, and a snake in a box in a Corolla with my wife in the car, who was my girlfriend at the time. She wasn't my wife yet. And we drove all across the country with no plan, with $5,000 to our name and no plan. But you know what? Looking back, the risk of me staying the same
Was greater.
was far greater than the risk of, hey, maybe I might get a job with Andy. Maybe this life might work out for me. I
Mm.
had visions. Like I would have dreams of seeing the mountains in Arizona. Like there was something calling me or tugging me. And now I knew it was the Holy Spirit the entire time. And it was God who was leading me, because there was a lot of moments where God was in the picture.
Yeah.
So we moved out here. And what's crazy is we put half the money down on a down payment on an apartment to rent. And we had another $2,500 to figure it out. That would cover just a month and a half of rent. So I had a month and a half
Mm.
to try to figure out how to get some income for the following month. And I was doing some work with like an insurance company over the phone, making a little bit of money. It wasn't a lot. It was like 400, sometimes $600 a week. So it was just enough to kind of pay some bills. And then Sierra got a job. But then when towards the end of April, she is, by the end of April, she's moving back. She's going back to Florida for a
Mm-hmm.
job. And then this is where everything changed. And this is where I knew God was in the picture. So she had to go do a job because we needed money. So she was going to make $4,000 on a bartending kind of deal, like a very fancy bartending spot, right? And so she's going over there. And when she goes on this plane, out of all the planes, out of all the flights, Andy and Jackie, they only fly once a year to Florida. Once.
Oh wow.
Every single year to Florida. And what was crazy was that when Sierra boarded this plane, it just so happened to align with the event that she was doing in Miami and it wasn't the same event that they go to, completely different industries, completely different people. She's hopping on this plane, and when she sat down on the plane, there was 2 empty seats on the plane.
Oh
And
no.
I'm not even making this up. Out of all the plane flights, out of
Oh
all the
wow.
seats, Andy and Jackie sit next to her.
No way.
And they didn't even know, I was here yet, because I still felt the shame and guilt from the overdose of me already planning this out. And I just stopped talking to him, and like
Mm.
there was no communication. Then when they sat down, they're like, whoa, Sierra? They knew who she was because they were vetting me for months. And I've been
Yeah.
like, I
Wow.
want to work for you. I want to work for you for at least like a year and a half, right?
Yep.
And they have a conversation like, whoa, it's like, is Tommy here? Are you guys living here now? It's like, yeah, we're living in Arizona. And I was like, you guys moved here? It's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, and is he off drugs? It's like, he's off drugs. He's like, okay, well, tell Tommy I want him to tell him to stop being scared of me, is what he said to her. Tell him to stop being
Wow.
scared
He
of me.
knew. He knew.
Tell him to stop. Tell him to stop being scared of me. And then, of course, this
Yeah.
is all related to me, what my wife told me when she was on the
Yeah.
plane, because I wasn't there.
Mm.
But she's like, he said, tell to stop being scared of him and to reach out to him. And he wants us to meet him at a church called Impact Church.
Yeah.
And this is how I knew God's hands were all over it, right?
Yeah. Wow.
I hadn't given my life to Christ. God was not in
Mm.
my life. He was in mine, but I wasn't in his for a very long
Yeah.
time. And he was pursuing me, that he used a man. And sometimes God will use a man in your life or a
Mm.
woman, but he'll use a person in your life to help you build that connection, that relationship with him.
Yeah.
And
So you, there's so much in this. I mean, there's this moment where things collide, and it's almost like Andy comes back into your world, and you're also going through your own journey. You're finding your way, right? Because I suppose it takes a person to reach rock bottom. What I am fascinated about what you said a little earlier, right? When we sort of think about sales, and we're going to talk about sales in a minute, right? Business, leadership, sales, that kind of stuff. All sales is change. Fundamentally, It's a person recognizing that something in their life needs to change. But the difficult thing about change is that the decision then hinges on whether or not the change is more uncomfortable, more painful than the pain of staying the same. But you reached a point where you recognize, well, in fact, we need to leave where we live. We're going to go to Arizona. There's no guarantee of anything. And that's painful in a sense where I have to uproot my life. But there's risk, there's uncertainty in this move. There's no guarantee on the other end of anything. But you recognize that the only guarantee was that if I stay in the same spot, if I keep living the way I am, well, that's riskier. There's more risk, there's more danger, there's more pain than change. So you've uprooted your life. You and your wife, Sarah, have moved, and now you're chasing a new dream. And at some point, I guess, you'd land yourself in one of the greatest organizations that exists now from a leadership and a sales perspective in the US, if not in the globe. I want to explore when you then get into this environment surrounded by weapons, right? Individuals that operate at a high frequency. What do you experience and what happens to you when you surround yourself in an environment like that?
Oh man. I could just quickly touch on this. And it'll all make sense. So we met Andy at that church. I told him I want to come work for you. And this is all gonna piece in because it's gonna explain what happened when I first started here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, if you want to come work for me, gain 20 pounds of muscle, stay clean for a year, and become the number one salesman at any store. I'm like, all right, which one should I go at? You're going to work at this location. It was a car dealership because I did car sales back at home. So he's like, do this. So when I get there, I find out there's 120 salespeople there. So I'm like, dang, he's really testing me. Like, and I need to become number one out of 120. It's impossible. So I'm creating all this down in my head. But then he's like, hey man, listen, don't listen to anyone there because everyone said it was impossible at the dealership. And this is super important. He gave me one of the biggest learning lessons of my life. He's like, Tommy, these people that telling you it's impossible for you to become number one in your first year, when you look at these people, do you want to be like them? Like when you see them, do you like what you see? Do they have what you want? Do they have the marriages you want, the physique? Do they have their life? I'm like, no, they're all out of shape. They're cheating on their wives. They're going to strip clubs. They're doing drugs, like car dealership, right? It's pretty common in the sales environment. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be. It's like, then don't listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to me. You're going to grind. You're going to do this. You're going to develop every single day and you're going to outwork your competition. You're going to outwork everyone there.
Mm-hmm.
And I did exactly what he told me. About my third month, became the number one salesman out of 120 salespeople. I gained 38 pounds of muscle that year and I stayed clean off of drugs. So then that was a year later. Then now in 2023, I get hired by the Elliot Group. I've earned and you know what's crazy? That I almost didn't reach out to him after the year. After everything I went through, I still felt some shame for some reason. And, if I didn't have a good woman by my side, she's like, babe, everything you've done in the last 2.5 years to get here to this point, all the sacrifice, you moving here, everything you put yourself through, everything you've invested with the Elliot Group too. Cause I spent it was like 16 grand at that point, just buying all the programs and learning from.
Which would have been a lot of money given what you had been through, what you had available to you at that given time. And so I guess as a percentile of your net worth back then and what you were earning, that would have been a significant investment. Significant.
Yeah, it was significant. And she's like, you're about to miss the window of getting hired by them. They're going to keep on growing. You see how the company's scaling and growing like crazy. And now is your time to go in there when they're still part of a build and do something really good in the company, become great very, very fast. And she's like, reach out to them right now. Right. And I remember that conversation. I'm like, okay. And that was August.
It was a year-long interview, basically. I mean, that's incredible, right? What I love there is that he set such a high standard, which I would imagine, I mean, it's so rare, man. Being a business owner myself, and I've employed already over 100 plus people in my time. I would say I've probably had 200 employees, but a culture like that, man, like that's next level. What I love too are the standards, like get yourself clean, exercise every day, go put on a bunch of muscle, go and find yourself an organization, prove that you are who you say you want to become. In other words, start behaving in that way now, right? And so by doing that, setting such a high standard, a year-long interview, basically, in a roundabout way, and being a catalyst for your transformation as a human, like putting that much onus and expectation. In many ways, people listening to this might sort of hear that and go, wow, like how I'm not even sure how to describe it, right? Like what an expectation to put on someone. But if he didn't do that to you, I mean, by definition, all love is tough love. All love, by definition, if someone cares enough for you, they're going to place standards on you. They're going to place expectation on you. They're going to want you to be better. And see, he elevated you through his expectation, even if it was not being there with you every day. He placed that on you, saying, "This is who you need to become to hang around me," because he's set his own standards, right?
Right.
And so he won't let anyone come in that isn't
Right.
at least at that entry level, because he wants to keep raising his own standard. It sounds like if he's investing 2 million or whatever it is a year on his own personal development.
100%. And he's very careful who he lets in. There's no complaining in the office, no complaining around him. He guards his mind. He says, you got to be a gatekeeper of your mind. You got to be very careful who you let close to you. And the thing is, he let me very close into his family very quickly just because of I excel. So when I got down here, I came in and I saw the way everyone operated. And I
What did
was
you
the
see?
number, I was a
Yeah, what
top
did you see?
person. Yeah, I came here. Now I'm at the bottom and I'm seeing these ultra high performers. I was a top performer too at the last company I was at. But now it's like all these people were top performers in their industries. And then they came down here and they rebuilt themselves. And I was super intimidated for some reason.
Mm.
For the first 2.5 weeks, I was scared to pick up a phone. I just wanted to learn. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn. And to this day, they still talk about it here. And I've been in the company for now, two a little over 2 years, 2 years and 2 months. I've been here now. Um, yeah, so for about like 26 months now I've been here. And they're like, Tommy, like you were so scared of picking up the phone. It's like, I remember they told me like there's these two guys, Ian and Evan Macklin. They're the twins, right? They've been with Andy the longest. They were the ones that were part of the build from the very beginning. It was Jackie, Andy, and the twins when they first got started. And then they started hiring the other people like Danny, who's still here, and they're like I would say the our leaders that we follow as well, right? Even though I'm a leader
Mm-hmm.
too, they're the how do you say? They're the OGs. I'm part of the second OGs that've been here the
Yeah,
longest.
the
You know what I
second
mean?
wave. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're the first wave. They're the ones that actually established the company and built it. They've been through some very hard times because when you start building a coaching company in the
Mm.
beginning, when you're trying to figure something, it is not easy. And dude, they,
Yeah.
they went through some hard times and they stuck by their sides, and that's why they're super loyal. Why they're experiencing the fruits of their labor now. I mean, they're doing very well. But during that time, they're like, Tommy, you were a badass in this company. You come in here and you're just all scared. Like, when are we going to see the Tommy that we know that you can become? Dude, they were
Mm.
pressuring me.
What were you
And
scared of? Rejection, not being good enough, saying the wrong thing? Because part
well,
of coming into a company is, I suppose, we start to second guess ourselves, particularly when you're talking about sales, marketing, leadership, business type stuff, right? Where you know that there's a particular way that is, sort of how to frame words, how to frame a conversation, how to use a particular framework to overcome whether it be an objection, get through a gatekeeper, whatever it is. Were you scared of saying the wrong thing, sounding stupid? What was it?
no, it wasn't about me sounding stupid. It was more or less, I guess it was just reverting back to my old identity. It's my old life trying to keep
Your
me the
old
same.
identity.
It's like, oh, you're still a drug addict. You're not going to be able to be this person. What? You're going to ruin everything. You're probably going to use drugs again. And all these like negative things started
Mm,
surfacing until I made a decision one day, one night. I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow when I walk in, I'm going to walk in like I own the place, like I did at the car
mm,
dealership. I'm going to walk in like I'm going to be the person with the best attitude. I'm going to be the most friendliest. When I see people, I'm going to shake them up with energy. Any of my teammates. Now, I remember when I came in, I was in the kitchen and the twins come out and I kicked the door open. And I smacked his ass. And I'm like, today's going to be a good day. And he's like, whoa, shit, I think he
Whoa!
woke up.
Slow down, Tiger. Yeah.
And from that moment on, I woke up. And then
Yeah,
what's
wow.
crazy is the following
It's a
month, I
decision.
was the employee of the month, killed it. Second month,
Wow.
I was the fastest person to fast track in the company, but I broke a few company records because, like, if we base it off revenue, I was the fastest person to do it.
I
And
love it, Tommy. I love it.
I just grew very, very quickly.
Let's double click on that, man. And look, I've only just, had the privilege of meeting you, but dude, your energy is infectious, right? Like, and so, what I love and what I've heard is that it's a decision.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've heard that kind of reframe in that, change doesn't require time. It requires a decision. So many people lie to themselves day in and day out when they need to change something in their life and they say, give me time. It doesn't take time. It takes a fucking decision. You were experiencing what you recognize was not the best version of you. And of course, sometimes we sort of have to go through the pain of that, but it's not time that's going to fix that. It's arriving at a decision where you recognize, okay, something needs to change. It's going to change right now. If it's ever going to change, it's going to change. So you showed up the next day in your best authentic self, unapologetic. You've walked in, giving yourself permission. I think that's the key, right? We hear about people changing. And often the only person holding ourselves back is ourselves, because we're not giving ourselves permission to heal, to forgive ourselves, to move forward, and to start to experience the things we want in life. We don't give ourselves permission, but it sounds like you arrived at a decision. You drew a line in the sand and you gave yourself permission to become Tommy, the version of you that you knew you were basically destined to be, right? And so you stepped into this person. Tell me about that journey then. What did it kind of look like? So what were you learning? What were you doing? And then what kind of success did you start to see as a result of this decision?
Yeah, so there was a few hurdles. Once I made this decision, I woke up, I started having more conversations. I wasn't scared of the phone. I was overcoming. So every single day I would come into the office at 6 a.m. and I'll leave at 9 o'clock at night. And I did that for about 90 days, every single day. I would work, what is that, 15 hours, 6 to 9? Yeah, 15-hour days every single day. I'll take a lunch break and everything. I'll get back on the phone.
7 days a week?
6 days a week.
6 days a week.
Yeah. I was still coming on Sundays, but I wouldn't do that same hourly schedule. I would just come in for 3 or 4 hours, but I still work 7 days a week. But Monday through Saturday, 15-hour days. And I knew I had to get ahead. Everyone had a book of business. They had a relationship. I just came in. I wanted to start establishing big relationships. And I knew that in order to make some really big income, we have people that do well over 7 figures. We have people doing almost $2 million this year too. So that there's a lot of revenue opportunities that you can make as far as becoming who you want to become and getting paid for it too by helping people. So once I started becoming this person and studying every single day, I would study an hour a day. I would read. I was making sure I was working out, because Andy's like, don't chase the money, chase the man. If you chase the man that you become, you're going to get everything else that you want in your life.
That's powerful.
Just keep chasing that person that you want to become. So I'm like, okay, I know who it is that I want to become. So I'm going to chase this person now. But while I was chasing them, then I ran into a second problem. Okay, now I'm talking to business owners that own, 8, 9, 10-figure earners, right? They own big companies. And now I'm going to ask them to spend money that I've never spent before. 100 grand on a training for their entire, to solve a big problem. They got $1 million problems. You can't solve $1 million problem with a $5,000 seminar ticket. Like, they're looking to solve a big problem. So we have a lot of consultation packages and custom packages to help them. But that was also another thing that I had to overcome. And by my 4th month, there was a deal that I was trying to put together. It was 100 grand. And I closed that one by myself. Andy's like, you're going to do this on your own. I'm like, I need help. You're going to do it. And he pushed me to that. And that increased my identity. Once you're able to accept 100,000 and put together a deal, you have now broke through. And in the 4th month in the company, I made $60,000 my first in 1 month. By my 4th month, I ended up buying a $15,000 cat, which I still love him, exotic cat, and ended up moving to Fountain Hills. Yeah, his name is Malachi, half African serval. So that was what I did with that.
Let's take a quick pause. Now, if you're watching or listening right now, it tells me something about you. Like, you want more out of life, more time and more freedom, and possibly even more control over where you live and how you actually earn. But most people never actually take the leap. That's the crazy thing. They stay stuck in routines that drain them, clocking in, clocking out, trading hours for what I would describe as pure survival. Now, you weren't built for that. You were built for so much more, for what I would describe as freedom. The kind of freedom that lets you work from anywhere, live on your terms, and actually enjoy what you do. And that's exactly why I built the Freedom Academy. It's a system that teaches you the one high income skill that gives you all 3. Remote high ticket sales is exactly that skill. It's the ability to earn 10 to 30K a month month in commissions, working from anywhere in the globe, using nothing but your laptop or your voice. So if you're done with living on someone else's schedule and you're sick and tired of the 9 to 5, go to the link in the show notes and apply today, because freedom isn't found, it's actually built. All right, let's get back to the show.
So you bought a cat, right? Okay, but what a story, man! Like, what a love there, It's fascinating how we've kept sort of circling back to this, right? It's the identity. I love the statement that Andy gave you. It's such a sobering truth. Don't chase the money, chase the man. I've never heard it that way, but it's so powerful, because you think about it, who we become matters more than anything. I tell my guys all the time, we've got agents that come in from all kinds of different careers that come into sales. And what they don't recognize as sales is legitimately a journey of personal development. It's a mirror. It shows up every deficiency, every flaw, every identity crack in you will be exposed through the work that you do. Yeah. And when we elevate our standards, when we start reading, many people, it's uncanny. You think about it, like yourself, after school, I hadn't read for years. I always labeled myself as not a reader. I even labeled myself as not being intelligent, believe it or not. And it's so limiting. It's so it's self-deprecating. It's you being your own worst enemy. And what I love and what I'm hearing constantly is about your identity shift. Is you recognizing that, well, for me to have what I want in life, that I need to grow. It's like shedding of the skin, right? It's a rebirthing. And I always say, I've stood on stage and I've talked to smaller auditoriums about this, that, that what you have today and what you want to have in the future is going to require that this version of you dies. The version of you, all your limiting beliefs, all your self-doubt, all your bullshit stories, all your lack of commitment, all that needs to die. You need to become the person that, in other words, can experience that in life. And that requires a death. And by definition, when something dies, something has to be replaced. And it's usually a birthing. But it's painful. It's uncomfortable. It requires courage, commitment. And I imagine through this, Tommy, and we haven't even touched on this yet, right? You would have had a whole bunch of mates, a whole bunch of friends that were your boys, right? That were your crew and whatever. And I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, they all had to, for the most part, I would imagine, have to put to the side as well, because you're becoming a new human. You're becoming a different beast. You're operating at a different level. You've got new values. You've got a new direction, a new path that you're going on. And you're hanging around weapons, individuals that are inspiring you and raising you up in this world. And I would imagine you're making a whole bunch of new friends. I imagine there'd be a whole bunch of new experiences, new rooms that you're playing in, right? And so that journey is not easy. It's very hard, and a lot of people aren't willing to pay the price. What you're receiving today came at a price, and that price was a death. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And we talk about this a lot. And the thing is, when you're looking to become something new, like how I did, it's like this. It's like if you're married, some people, like let's say if we're talking about men marry their wives, and their wives only got to marry their husband one time. My wife has married me several times because I keep killing an old version of myself. So she's married hundreds of me because I keep changing. So she gets a better version. But a lot of men, they just conform and they stay the same. And then the same person, nothing really changes. They were excited in the beginning, and then everything starts dying out because we start losing sight of what's most important. So when you're looking to change yourself, like change your identity, you have to die 1,000 times. You have to have 1,000 deaths. You can't be the same person. So it's like, and a lot of people, they want to create a new identity, but they're just covering that old person up and expecting they can build based on covering that person up and scale by still being that same person. They're just like covering themselves and thinking they're going to excel that way. But the thing is this, you got to completely destroy your old self and rebuild a new identity from scratch. And that's what I kept doing over and over. And in order for you to do that, yes, it comes sacrifices. And the thing is, there's a right way of doing it. I had friends and family members that doubted me. Remember, I lived a specific way for so long. They're like, what do you mean you're going to become this and become a coach and travel? No, I can't blame them.
That was what you projected. That's who you were. And I guess you need to prove them wrong, right? You need to prove them otherwise. Yeah.
100%. And then also it's like, for these friends, they're going to be like, hey man, hey, come on, let's go out for a drink. Let's go hang out. It's like, no, man, it's okay. I'm not going to do those things anymore. What do you mean? You're being weird. Come on, we always do these things. Come on,
Yeah.
let's go. It's like, no, dude, honestly, I'm going to spend time like actually working on me. I want to wake up early in the morning, go to the gym and maybe read and maybe dive into the Bible. It's like, whoa, why are you being weird, man? Like you're changing on me. And that is the biggest problem. Your friends and your family out there,
They're
even
going to
though they
hold you
love
down.
you, they're going to hold you down. So you got to be like, listen, bro, I love you, Brandon. I love you. And for a big part of my life, you were there for me and I appreciate you. I love you so much. But on this point in my life, dude, listen, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what's going to happen. Either you change with me or dude, I love you. We can keep a relation from a distance. But right now, I really need to focus right now. I can't have you in my life and it breaks my heart. But this is a sacrifice I have to make in order for me to become the man that God intended me to become. Because right now, I'm not it,
It's powerful.
and I
So
think that's
powerful.
super important.
I think, as men in this generation, it's so easy to get, caught up with the status quo and behaving in a way that is just so predictable, with a lack of focus, lack of direction, no values. It's kind of like, a ship without a rudder, going wherever the wind goes, not committed to anything, not living for anything, and therefore not willing to die for anything, if that makes sense, right? And so when you can get clarity on, it's one thing I always say to people when they struggle with motivation or they struggle with the discipline, for example, I always say it's not that you lack motivation, you simply lack clarity. What I'm hearing is a man that identified exactly who he wanted to become, the life he wanted to live, the person that, was on the other end, waiting for him with extreme clarity. Then it's easy to take the necessary action. You started taking action, you're doing it daily, you make better decisions. It goes back to the old thing again, right, about our decisions. The decisions ultimately become the fruit of our life.
Right.
There's a freedom formula. And I talk about this on most podcasts because it seems to come up a lot, where we're talking about this transformation. And for those listening, I think this is so sobering because you're listening to a man, I guess, that's been through the worst of the worst, and experienced what many hopefully will never experience. But that was also for a reason, because now he's sharing his story and showing you that if you are in that place right now and you're struggling in that way, if you're battling with those types of demons, you can come out on the other end. It is possible. And it takes a decision. It takes a lot of bravery, a lot of courage, a lot of resilience and focus, but some extreme clarity. What I'm also...
Can I add something? Can I add something on that, on the clarity? So it comes with, you have to have extreme clarity on what it is that you want, but then sometimes the path is really unknown. I mean, I had moments that I had to battle through doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Like, is this truly what I knew what I wanted. That was clear. I knew I wanted to become this person. How I was going to get there, I had no freaking idea. I just kept it was just kind of the saying in recovery, one day at a time. And it's just one day at a time. I knew what I needed to do that day. So then I did it. But the path of where I was going, I would have never imagined I would be a top person in a massive personal development company, now being a division leader where I'm counted on. I was not the person that people counted on. I was a person that I was counted out for a very long time. I wasn't supposed to be here. I shouldn't even be alive right now. And what's crazy is to have this life, I would have never imagined it. I mean, it's like even Andy says this, he never even pictured life would have been this big for him.
Yeah, wow. For him.
We were just people that had a bad past. We were broken and lost. We didn't want to be that way anymore. And we just wanted to do good. And we wanted to become great. And we wanted to be around good people and create impact. And then by default, we built a major, God actually gave us the platform. I don't even know how we built this platform so fast. It was just us being authentic. And then out of nowhere, we started making a ton of money, like millions of dollars a year, millions of dollars a month, because we were getting better every day. We were being good people. We were close to God. We were getting in shape, working on our mindset. And if you're getting better and you're helping people, well, a byproduct of that is you're going to make money.
1,000%. Money follows value, right? Where there's value, money flows, right? And so when you're helping people solve problems, you were talking before about solving problems. When you focus on, not just, creating a business, but you're legitimately chasing the service, you're solving problems and you're elevating people. You're making their lives easier, amplifying their existence. You're helping them experience better things in life. Well, money's going to flow, right? So tell me a little bit about then the Elliot Group, because a lot of people listening, are going to be fascinated. And it's on this side of the world, Andy Elliot is still very well known, but probably not as well known as what he is in the US. But for entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs and people that are into personal development and sales, they no doubt would have seen him on YouTube. They no doubt would have seen him on Instagram or whatever it is. And they would be fascinated with not just the business, but the man. Just tell me a little bit about what you see behind the scenes and what goes on in a company at that level.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Because a lot of people see Andy online and they see him as like very masculine, like leader, intense and everything too, which yes, that's part of the brand and everything too. Cause he came off like when he was building himself, Andy was in a very dark place, man. He hated who he was. He was out of
Wow.
shape. He had love handles. He was in the pictures, but he was never home with the family. And his wife, Jacqueline, and I love Jacqueline, she was like, we learned to live without you. I don't need we don't need you to make money. Like this wasn't what I signed up for. Have a husband who's getting out of shape, is never home, is always working. I didn't need you for money. I wanted to marry a man that I was going to be happy with, and I'm not getting that. We learn to live without you, and if you don't change, we're gone. And that was a pivotal point. She went and grabbed his love handle, and he felt spiders crawl up his back. It was like, whoa, like you're making me very uncomfortable, because she just called him out. Well, actually, she called him up, because at that point, he shaved his head. He went to the gym for 4 hours, and he comes back as if everything's changed. And of course, he didn't change yet, but that was the
But
birth of a new
internally
person.
he changed. Yeah, internally he had changed. Sometimes the
Yes.
change doesn't show immediately on the outward expression, but the most powerful change is the internal one that many don't see for a very long period of time. It's like, to give it another analogy, like you might look at your bank account today, right, and not see the money you want, but then you make a decision that you're going to become a different person. You start reading the books, you start going to the mentorships, you start going to the gym, getting up early, working late, doing 15-hour days. And the fruits of that don't appear straight away, but what's building on the inside is that human. What's building on the inside is everything that's needed to achieve that external success in the very near future. That's just a byproduct. The biggest win is what's going on internally. So for him, was that internal shift. And so when you get into then, I suppose, a company like that, you start seeing how they're operating and this kind of ultra high performer energy on a day-to-day basis. Walk us through a little bit about that, because that would be extremely rare. There wouldn't be many organizations in the world that pull people up in that way.
Yes. And that's a really good question. Number one for that, like you have to be, if you don't have a leader that can
Mm-hmm.
self-lead himself correctly and self-correct every single day, meaning, hey, how did I do today? Okay, could I have done better? All right, tomorrow I'm going to change that. And he's the person that can self-correct the fastest. He is the most coachable person I've ever met. He'll hear something. Let's say if he's listening to this podcast, you said something, or if he was
Yeah.
watching a podcast, he'll
Yeah.
steal what you said. And if he's about to speak in an hour, he would use it. Like
He'll
very,
use
very
it.
coachable. Yeah, very, very coachable. And he's just an amazing leader, heart-centered. So what allows us to be like very high performing, he's very heart-centered. Our company is very heart-centered. We pray every single morning. We're very close to God. We have morning meetings every single morning. Andy is someone that we want to emulate. So he has a physique, he's shredded. The way he's with his wife and what we get to see, and I mean, of course, how they are, but they're just very loving with each other. They're in their mid-40s and they still are like madly in love like they were in their 20s. He's an amazing father. So this is all important. The reason why I'm sharing this is that there's a lot of people out there that, they want high performing companies. But the thing is, you look at the leader, actually you walk into office, like, who's the leader? You have no idea who it is.
You can't
You
even
walk in here,
see it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you walk in here and you're like, oh shoot, that guy looks like the leader from the way we're interacting and everything with them. But that really breeds some really high performance on there. And like when you walk here, everyone has to work out. Like it's a standard.
Mm-hmm.
We run with some really high values, really high standards. And the thing is, if those standards aren't met
Mm-hmm.
and it takes you 2 months to correct it and you're still not doing it, you're out of the company. It's just how
Yeah.
it
Right.
is. It's a standard and it's a value, right? We have to run this
Mm-hmm.
way. And it puts a lot of pressure on people. So when you walk in here, this is not a stress-filled environment. It's a pressure-filled environment. And the thing is, if people just had someone in life to be like, if you ever find someone, let me just say it like this, if you ever find someone lucky enough to put pressure on you, to tell you the truth, and to not call you out, but call you up when you know you could be doing better, you won the lottery, because people want to get
Yeah.
coached,
1,000%. 1,000%. It's so powerful. And I guess You know, there is just not enough of that, enough opportunity, particularly for men. You know, like we're never surrounded with people. And what I love, what you said was pressure versus stress. It's not a stress-filled environment. It's a pressure-filled environment. Pressure is a good thing. You know, you think about this, Tommy, how does a diamond become a diamond? With pressure, my friend. And, you know, you're becoming your own diamond in a sense, and that came through pressure. The pressure that you were experiencing, of course, when you knew internally from yourself you needed to change. The pressure then, the standards that your wife put on you, of course, because you need to change, because she wanted, you know, someone to deserve someone that was I suppose, different, the man that she wanted. And then it was you going into an environment that put pressure on you again. And every one of those moments for you is a decision. You either rise to it or you fall to it. And when you rise to it, then you arrive at a new platform and you start to operate at a different level. And it's so true. We all need mentorship. I love hearing the rawness, you know, about even just Andy's reality through his journey. I love hearing the rawness of your reality through your journey. And every man listening to this, and every woman as well that listens to this, will appreciate it, that we all need people in our lives to, as you say, not call us out, but call us up, to demand more of us first, so that then we can believe that we can become more. And that will naturally draw us up. The personal development is such a huge part of it, right? Because we could be talking sales here, we could be talking marketing, we could be talking leadership, but all of those things are virtually useless if the individual behind all of that isn't on their own journey, improving every single day, sharpening the sword, showing up as the best version of themselves on a daily basis, right? Raising the standards. And so we rise to to the standards that are set around us. So every single day, you guys, of course, are learning together. You're growing together. You're refining together. And what are some of I suppose, if we were to now focus a little bit on perhaps some of the strategies and things that, you know, were taught within the company to help you guys raise, you know, what are they teaching you? Like, what are you guys teaching as a leader? You're a leader in the company. How do you lead your team?
Well, we have morning meetings every single morning here from 8:15 and
Every
9
morning.
o'clock every morning. And a lot of these meetings are to talk about, okay, what's marketing doing? What are the ads? We all need to communicate with each other because we are one unison. And if you work in one unison, you get to scale, you get to grow. Now, when it comes to our trainings, a lot of it could be on client testimonial, how we were able to change someone, maybe a walk through a deal, like how someone went from a $1,000 seminar ticket to, you know, to grow into a $250,000 deal that we were able to solve a really big problem, because it's really good for the other coach and the other sales team to really understand, to start to see it, because it's all possible. And there's people out there that need a lot of help. But like, as far as like what I teach for my team is, I like to get very clear on their goals. I need to know what it is that they want. What are your goals? And that's like personal. And we revisit this often, but let's just say if I were to kick off with my team, like we just did this recently, because I needed to understand all of our goals change. It could change within 30 days, 90 days, because we're growing so fast that sometimes we set 90-day like deadlines. Once we hit that deadline,
sprint. Yeah.
Exactly, like a sprint. So I need to understand, like, what are your goals? What is it that you want right now? Personal. Like, what do you want me to help you with or hold you accountable for? Okay. Outside of that, what is your revenue goals now? Okay. Well, you got to understand the person. So on top of that, okay. And then if they're married or if they're in a relationship, does your spouse share that? Or does your husband share that? Or does your boyfriend or girlfriend share that same vision? If they don't, what's their vision? Do they fit in your vision? So that's always really important, to always bring the spouse or the husbands or the, you know, girlfriend or whatever in, because a lot of people don't think about the spouse. And the thing is, that is the most important piece, you know, in building a top performer, is what is their home life. So they're in a personal development company where we're growing and changing. But what happens when they're not in this environment? What happens at home? Do they let off the gas? Are they bringing their family leftovers? Are they not growing? Do they stop learning? Are they just sitting in front of a TV? Because if you have a mixture of that and then this, you'll see a change in numbers. Now, if you have someone on fire, they come home. If they want to watch a show maybe a couple of times a week, cool, but don't make it a habit where you're going to binge watch shows, where you're just laying on the couch. Like, you want to get there, decompress, figure out what your numbers are. You're always editing your hot list, which I'm going to lead you to that next. But that is super important. You got to know what it's like at home. Andy does like quarterly meetings with the wives or husbands.
Wow.
So if they don't work in this company, he has to do, because he needs to understand, hey, listen, do you know that this person, their numbers have been here and they haven't been growing? What's happening at home? I need to know. How are they being? What are they acting like? Are they not, are they turning it off too soon, or are they not being there for you and the kids? So that is super important, right? And then also, what is their company goal? So we talk about their goal, personal goals with their spouses, or, their significant others' goals, to make sure they match. What is the revenue goals that they're looking to hit, because they want to make money, they got to produce. And at the same time, what are their company goals? Where are they looking to go? Where are they looking to grow to? Do they want to become a division leader? Do they want to then grow to becoming a named partner in the company? Like, what is it? Like, what do you want? Then your skills. What are the skills that you need me to help you develop? Is it framing, overcoming objections? Is it closing? Is it networking? Is it communication? What is it that you need help with? So then
Such a
I can help
gift.
you grow in that area. Yeah.
Dude, that's such a gift. That's such a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Being in an
And
environment like that where someone holds you accountable to that and pulls you up, mate, is such a gift.
we do it all with love too. And then the last part is your hot list. This is so important. Listen, the whole purpose of me being a division leader is to make sure that that we're helping every customer possible. So there's different calibers of clients. You have people that are just salespeople, but then we also deal with entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners that have massive companies that are looking to solve big problems. So if you put someone that can't talk to a business owner, that business owner is going to think, oh, this guy's just trying to get money out of me. This guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. I'm uninterested. This guy's not interesting. I'm going to hang up. Company just lost money. That person didn't change his life. We weren't able to help him. So that hot list is very important that I need to see. I'm like, what people have you talked to? What people weren't you able to help? Give me the phone. And that's where I come in, and then I help the customer, and I build the relationship properly, and I introduce myself, who I am and why I'm able to help them and why I'm there, which is the whole point. Is like, listen, I don't even know how to help you yet. I just want to have a conversation. I'm the division leader here in the company. Usually these type of conversations are had with me. I know you reached out to us. You're interested in doing something with us. There was something that you saw that interested you to seeing more about what we have to do. Just want to get to know you a little bit more. Can I ask you a couple of questions? If there's anything, any value I could provide for you based on the questions that you answer, would you like our help? Like, would you want me to talk to you a little bit more? Yes, amazing. So it's like very simple. And then I show them how to do that in the process on a really good, um, um, in a very short moment. It's not really a lot,
Like
but we hit
concise.
those,
Yeah.
we hit those lists. But that is the biggest thing that I like to consistently revolve. It's always like, what skills? What are we doing? How are you doing? And also checking in with your team. A lot of times there's a lot of leaders out there that don't go up to a team and be like, hey man, how are you? Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, how are you feeling? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I just want to know, like, how's your heart? How's your mind? Do you want to talk about anything? You know, I'm not going to judge you. You know what I've been through. Anything's on the table goes. I'm never going to judge you, and I'm always going to support you on anything you want. Let's talk. Do you want to set up a one-on-one, just me and you, so we can actually talk about some things that are going on? Because I see that your numbers are sliding, and there could be something that maybe we could talk about. We could solve this problem right now. Like, let's have some time together, right? So
That's
it's just
powerful.
me very
Yeah.
intentional with your team.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Super powerful. The gift in all of that. I mean, I'm listening to and I'm trying to understand the environment, right? And most people would never experience anything even close to that, where someone
Yeah,
actually
people don't
cares
care.
enough to hold themselves accountable and to raise their standards and to get them to want to do more. And so what then you see is people caring. When you're interested in people, they become interested in you. If you're interested in your team, if you're interested in the humans behind the work, and you're helping them raise their standards, but they're going to be interested in you. They're going to fight for you. And they're going to make sure that you as a leader in your division don't fall behind, that they hit their targets, their KPIs. They're going to work a little longer. They're not going to complain about it. They're going to put in the work. They're going to raise their own standards, because now you've believed in them. Like you had someone once believe in you. Now you're believing in them. You're raising them up. You're pulling them up. And so naturally they're going to fight for you. They're going to fight for you. There's no two ways about it.
And they, a lot of them have their one note, like they'll have their moments with Andy and Jackie too. But the thing is, when you're building a company like this and you're scaling, it's impossible for Andy and Jackie to really
To stay
spend,
connected to everyone.
to stay connected to everyone. So for the most part, the leaders are really close to Andy, like, and Jackie. Like, we're the ones that are actually like thinking about things to grow the company, what we need to do, what we need to expand. And then we need to make sure we're holding our team accountable, because I need to start popping out more division leaders, right? I need to keep growing. The goal is always, number one rule is self-leadership. You got to lead yourself, be an example to your people, and not always make it about money, right? You need to be you need to be someone they want to be like, or someone they look up to as a leader. Because if not, someone offers them more money, they're going to leave you. So it's not
Yeah,
like really
100%.
being their boss. You're being a coach. You're being a mentor to them. And then you lead others. So now I got to lead another team. I'm leading others. But then the biggest thing that helps a company scale, the biggest bottleneck in every single company is the leader.
Lack of leadership.
They
Yeah.
haven't cloned themselves in their people. And if you can't clone yourself, you're always going to work inside of your business and not on it. And this is why a lot of companies don't scale or grow, because the biggest bottleneck in a company is the leader. Unless you're dealing with a SaaS company that everything's automated and it's just software. Okay. But if you're dealing with an organization where you have a leader and you got a team, if you don't develop yourself, you're going to be taking deals, you're going to be taking phone calls, you're going to be doing a lot of the work because your team isn't as good as you, or you're not that good of a leader to where you can develop them fast enough. Because then the secret is building leaders to build more leaders. And if you can
Yeah,
do that,
1,000%.
you freaking
Yeah.
grow a big ass organization.
It reminds me of a book, which is, I believe it's The 5 Levels of Leadership. An
That's a
author,
good book.
C. Maxwell, I believe it was.
Mhm.
So where he talks about the type of leader that effectively, we aim and strive to become. It's where then you're doing exactly what you just said, basically empowering people to be able to lead and make decisions without you, because they understand everything they need to understand about the organization, the vision, the mission, the values, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the mechanics of how they do their role, giving them the confidence, the courage to lead. Leadership is something, it's incredibly difficult to do, because it's actually not something that's given to you. It's something you take. And I'll give an example. When you sort of, at that moment, when you sort of reflect back to when you walked into the Elliot group for the first time and you were timid, but then you made a decision, well, in fact, I'm going to now show up as my authentic self. I'm going to start leading my environment. I'm going to start impacting my environment. And that was a decision where you decided, well, I'm going to start leading me first. You talked about self-leadership. I'm going to show up as the best version of me. I'm going to start looking for ways I can impact, add value, bring energy, bring enthusiasm, bring that can-do energy that then just permeates through the team and start leading by definition, right? And it's when you decide you're going to start leading, not because you're given a title, but because you care, because you want to, that people then start putting you in that position to go, right now, you deserve it, right? So it's such a powerful journey you've been on. And there's just so much truth. There's no other way to put it. There's just so much truth in your authentic journey. On the surface, when someone sees you on your Instagram, for example, for the first time, it's not that they're not seeing who you truly are, but even pre-show, I'm just going through and looking a little bit through your history. You're a jacked up dude, right? And you got this awesome sort of, let's call it facade about you, which could give off a certain, let's call it image or whatever else. But then when you get to know you, you see the true Tommy, the individual that's so connected and so focused on becoming a better version of himself and adding impact to the world. It's beautiful to see, man. Your energy, it's just incredible. So, to wrap this up, and we could talk for days about sales, marketing, leadership, personal development, the journey, humanity, marriage, and all that kind of stuff. And this is just, I would say, the tip of the iceberg in many ways. But how would you describe what you fight for and what you defend against?
So, what I stand for is that I'm fighting to, a lot of people ask me, Tommy, you've developed your skill. You've become highly skilled. You've grown very quickly. Why don't you just start your own thing? I get it all the time, bro. I meet a lot of business owners that own big companies, and I network without Andy, right? Because I invest a lot of events. I go to places. I like to bring business in, but meet a lot of people. And they always ask me, why don't you just start your own thing? You got the skill, you could do all these things, but they don't understand. Because the thing that I'm fighting for here is I'm part of a company right now that we're building very, very fast. But not only that, I'm fighting I want to take over the world. And I met someone crazy enough that wants to do it. Andy Elliot is freaking crazy. He wants to literally take over the world. And we figured out a way to completely transform and change people. Our last event, we had people crying all day long. I had people coming up to me, falling down to the floor, crying man, you guys are real. Oh my God. Another guy who flew in a private jet, he's like, down here. He was at Andy's house and he fell apart saying, I was going to kill myself. My wife bought me my ticket. I didn't even want to be here. I mean, these people are hurting. And when you get to see, like, when you've seen what we've seen and you've seen the changes, you just get something that you're just, man, I'm fighting right now to change as many lives as I possibly can. Like, I truly want to help people. And then at the same time, I'm a Christian, right? I'm a faithful believer and follower of Jesus Christ. This last event, I brought out a tub and I started grabbing people and I baptized 16 people right outside of a sales and leadership event. I mean, people are hungry for God. People are hungry for change. People are lost. They're looking for peace. They're looking for love. And they're looking for people that can believe in them. Like, the world is such a dark place. And right now, we just want to be the light, right? We want to be the light of the world. We want, when people look at us, that whatever darkness they're going through, when they come through here, that darkness dissipates because now they're into the light. And we went through a very dark past, but now that we can be that light to others, we just want to share it. Like, it is something that gets us so on fire, and it's better than money. Do you know what's the best thing out there? I would tell people there's two things. Number one, you know what's funner than fun? Winning. We love winning, right? But you know what's more fulfilling than money? It's having people look up to you as an example and saying, you changed my life.
There's nothing better than that.
There's nothing better
There's
than
nothing
that.
better than that. And I can assure you there's going to be people that listen to this podcast that, you know, get inspired, and your message is going to ring loud in their ears for a long time. The truth, the authentic story, the journey, and I suppose just some of those battle scars you've been able to share that just show that, you know, if they're experiencing that, well, they're not alone. And, you know, it's not that someone else hasn't been through that before and someone hasn't come out the other end. And so hopefully if you listen to this and you're going through that kind of journey, then reach out, get the support you need. And I think one thing that Tommy said earlier, which was basically, you know, he felt shame about reaching out. The minute he did, then, you know, things started changing.
Yeah.
So my brother Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, man. And, you know, and hopefully we stay connected. It's been such a pleasure having you on the Freedom Formula podcast. The listeners that have listened to this, you know, we just got the gift of hearing something that legitimately can set them on fire, which is brilliant. So where can they follow you, Tommy, if people want to sort of continue to watch and observe what you're doing from the edges and watch you?
Yeah, so I actually started building a YouTube, which is Thomas Proco, ThomasProco. Same thing as my Instagram is Thomas, which is my full name, Thomas, ThomasP as in Paul, ROCO, Thomas Proco. Both my Instagram, both my YouTube. I started taking YouTube very serious, started really posting about 3 months ago. Now we're about to hit 1,000 subs, so we're getting there, you know? I feel like that's always the hardest, is getting your first 1,000 subscribers. So, you know, show some support if you guys really like everything here, because the content I'm posting on there is long form and it is fire. But then I post a lot of content on my Instagram. Anything you guys ever need, you can always reach out to me. I answer every message, and it's me. It's not someone managing my page. So it's really me, and I'll send you a voice note. And I appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much, Tommy.